Is Monster Hunter Wilds worth your money and your time? Yes. Have you been trying to decide whether you're going to make the investment to actually play the new Monster Hunter when it gets released? Simple answer, yes. You're going to do it. And you should do it. It's the right decision. There you go, you no longer have to go look up any other videos or go watch any more gameplay to make that decision. I've answered it for you, now go do it. How did I come to that decision? Well, that's what we're going to cover over the rest of the video. We're going to explain why you should go out and purchase it and when you should go out and purchase it. Because here's the thing, as much as someone like me and many of the community are going to be rushing out to get it as soon as it releases, play it as soon as we can, that might not be the best decision for you. What we're going to look at is whether you should purchase it exactly on release date or give it a few months and decide to purchase it when it goes on discount. We're going to look at a couple of the big differences between Monster Hunter Worlds and Monster Hunter Wilds and why it's actually worth the investment. And we're going to see what position you are in. Because hey, you might be in a position where you're better off spending $23 to go play Monster Hunter Worlds and Iceborne, which is still going to give you hundreds if not thousands of hours of gameplay content, which will be more than enough to hold you out until you're in a reasonable position to go out and purchase Wilds. In addition, a lot of you might not understand how Monster Hunter works with its release of games, but I'm getting ahead myself, let's jump into the video. So the first thing we really need to look at is what position are you in with Monster Hunter? Have you played every single one in the series and you're now deciding, do I want to go and invest and get this newest one? Well, I'm going to say simply for you, yes. Because you've played all the Monster Hunters, it's inevitable you're going to play this one too. So rather than sitting there and contemplating going backwards and forth with yourself, just decide, make the decision, go ahead, you're going to do it anyway. But maybe you're in a position where you've only recently gotten into Monster Hunter. And when I say recently, I'm talking about maybe World's Iceborne era, so over the last 10 years. You may or may not have gotten Rise. I know personally, I didn't purchase Rise, and the reason why, graphically, it wasn't my style. So if you're someone in a similar position like that, I can understand why there's a bit of contemplation whether you're going to go ahead and get Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, if you only dabbled in Monster Hunter Worlds / Iceborne, if you didn't complete the entire game, maybe you don't need to go out and purchase Wilds immediately on release. Right now on Steam, you can pick up Monster Hunter Worlds and Iceborne expansion for $23 Australian dollars, whereas Monster Hunter Wilds is going to cost you 105 Australian dollars. Realistically, yes, Monster Hunter Wilds is a more polished game. It looks beautiful. Even the story seems like it's going to be a bit better, and let's be honest, most of us don't play Monster Hunter for the story. But when it comes to gameplay, Monster Hunter Worlds and Iceborne was amazing. I've been playing Monster Hunter Worlds and Iceborne again over the last couple of weeks in preparation for Monster Hunter Wilds. I've put in over the last 2 weeks about 50 to 60 hours into Monster Hunter. Now this is my second time playing through. I've already put in close to 1,000 hours on my PlayStation. I've now purchased it on PC and I'm loving it all over again. I'm in a position though where I feel like I've seen every move, I've seen every monster, I've done every encounter 100 times or more. So it lacks that appeal for me to really want to sink my teeth in and keep going and going and going. That's why someone in the position that I'm in, and you might be too, is definitely going to be looking to jump into Wilds as soon as we can. We're not going to be the gods of the realm. And the reason for that is we no longer have the full understanding of exactly what moves the monster's going to throw at us. We don't know what their weaknesses are. We don't know what their strengths are. And that's a great thing about having this new game come out. There is so much more opportunity and excitement for learning and coming to understand what the monster does, which is what Monster Hunter is all about. Now, if you're familiar with Monster Hunter, when they release a game, usually the first game that they bring out is going to have 2 levels of difficulty. It's going to have your low rank and your high rank. Then after about a year, they bring out the expansion for Monster Hunter, and that has your master rank. The monsters become a lot more difficult, there's a lot more challenge, and the second half of the game gets released. Plus, I usually find that's when a lot of the endgame content gets really polished through. The reason why that knowledge is important is because then you might actually be able to wait until the expansion comes out. Because obviously just before the expansion, or when the expansion does get released, the cost of Monster Hunter itself, Wilds that is going to come down on sale on Steam or on PlayStation Store, on whatever Xbox does. So if one of the big drawbacks right now for you is you don't know whether you want to financially outlay that much money to purchase the game, then don't. Like I said, you can go pick up Monster Hunter Worlds and Iceborne for very cheap right now. And it's so worth it. The game is amazing. Which brings me to the third and final person who is looking at getting into Monster Hunter. You've seen all this hype about it, your mates are talking about it, you've seen all the YouTube videos, and you're trying to decide whether you want to get into it for the first time. Don't jump straight into Wilds. Jump into Monster Hunter Worlds and Iceborne. You are going to get so much content out of it. The game still looks amazing. It's still great to play. And then by the time you get to a position where you're done with the game, you'll be able to jump into Wilds and you'll be spending about 50% or less than the actual price that you're going to get it for right now. There are some mechanics that have been removed from Iceborne coming into Wilds. The biggest one is the clutch claw. It's gone. For a lot of you, that's a time to rejoice. You no longer have to worry about grappling onto the monster to create a wound in order to do your critical damage. For a lot of us, we enjoyed that mechanic, especially punching the monster in the face and then creating a wall bang. In Wilds, that's now been removed, and instead it's been replaced with a focus system. You hold down a button which brings up a target, which is making it so much easier on your big weapons such as the great sword, the charge blade, the switch axe, to get more accurate hits on the monster. In addition, once you've done some damage, you wound the monster. You can then use a special move in order to pop that wound and do some critical damage. Now, perhaps it's just because I've been playing a lot of Iceborne, but God, I miss having that mechanic of the clutch claw and really don't like the fact that it's been removed. But once again, this is just something that comes into the game. It wasn't in Worlds. It only got released in Iceborne, so perhaps in Wilds, once again, this is just going to be the basic, and then in the expansion, they're going to bring in another mechanic. Is the new wound system awful? Far from it. Matter of fact, I really like how accurate I can be with my big weapon using the focus system. Does it feel a little bit cheap? As in, does it almost create like an aimbot, make it a bit too simple? Once you get your head around holding down the button, yes. Yeah, it does. One big thing that we all used to love and hate about using those big weapons was whiffing it completely and missing the monster. That has a much lower chance of occurring in Wilds because you can simply press a button and wherever you're aiming, you're going to hit. It's no longer essential to make sure that your character is facing the right direction, or if the monster switches on you and jumps around to your side, then you have to completely start over your rotation to get to the position to get that big hit off. Look, I don't know exactly how to feel about this one. Comment down below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you want the clutch claw? Do you like the new focus system? Let me know because I still can't decide. Now, I don't want this video to drag on. I wanted to keep it under the 8 to 10 minute mark, so I'm going to cut myself off very soon. Is Monster Hunter Wilds worth it? Once again, I very much think yes. Am I going to be pre-ordering it and playing it as soon as it's released? Yes. But I've also rinsed Monster Hunter World and Iceborne as much as I can. So I'm just very excited to be jumping into a new Monster Hunter. And in addition, I'm excited to be making content. One final thing to remember, if you want to be playing the multiplayer aspect of Monster Hunter, which is something that I haven't really spoken about much in this video, I feel it's in your best interest to start playing Wilds as quickly as you can, while the hype is here. You're going to get all of your SOS flares answered. You're going to be able to find lobbies really quick and easy. In 1, 2, 3 years time, that might not be the case. Heck, that might not even be the case in 6 months time. We don't know where this game is going to go, and with all the new games releasing this year, especially the new GTA, we don't know how much of a player base is going to remain in 6 months time. So if you're big into that multiplayer aspect of Monster Hunter, and going on these hunts with your friends or meeting some people online, then definitely get the game as soon as possible. But if you're a solo player and you're just in it because you enjoy the game, you like the story, you like the progress, you like the action RPG, then get into it whenever you want. And if you haven't put the time and effort into Monster Hunter Worlds and Iceborne, like I said, I strongly recommend it. You might even find that you prefer Monster Hunter Iceborne over Wilds if you can deal with the graphics not being up to the beautiful, spectacular level that Wilds was at. But anyway, I hope this content has helped. I hope it's helped you make a decision. And I hope to see you out there in wild hunting those monsters. Thank you very much for joining me, and happy hunting.